Bernstein.
Here.
Bertrand. Rayford.
Here.
Shaner. Here. Scott.
Here, please stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do interviews first. The Airport Board of Trustees, David Kaplan, please come up and tell us a little bit about yourself, David, and why you want to serve again.
I'm sorry, sir, say again.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve.
A little bit about myself. A resident of Sioux City since 1982. I've been a pilot for over 50 years and served on the airport board. This will be coming up for a renewal of my term. I would like to believe that I've been an asset to the board. You'll have to refer to some people who've worked with me before. I bring the experience not only of general aviation, but also as an airline pilot, where I worked as an international pilot, circling the globe 2 times a month for roughly 6 years until I hit the mandatory age of 65. Prior to that, I was a partner in a large business in Sioux City, which operated, we had roughly 1,800 employees across 11 states. And because of that, we had 4 aircraft that we operated to move our people around. So I've got quite a bit of background in aviation, and I believe that I can be an asset to the board.
We sure would like you to get back with the people you flew for and have them put a terminal here in Sioux City. Questions?
David, I appreciate that you want another term. I think you have been an asset. I think we know the role that you've played, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Events Facility and Tourism Advisory Board, Bruce Miller.
Thank you so much for letting me come today. I want back on. This is my reason for coming back here. I thought I had something to offer in that range of the city's business, and I think I can still offer it. I have a lot of interest in arts and entertainment in our community, and I know that that's some of the chief aspects of what the position is. So if you would, I wish you would reconsider putting me back on. I hope that I can do something for you, and I do have connections, so I think I can help the city in a bit. But anyway.
I would agree with that, and you always did a great job putting the joint meetings that we'd have, letting us know what's happening. I always enjoyed those meetings so much. I mean, just really getting down and dirty and telling us this is what our year looks like.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so I'm counting on you. Okay?
On the power of one.
Okay, power of one. Anyone else?
So just there are 5 vacancies in this position, correct? I like your chances, Bruce.
Okay, good. Fingers crossed. Thank you. Good luck today.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Jody Rietmeyer.
Good afternoon.
Hi,
My name is Jody Reitmeyer. I'm the Director of Sales for the Hilton Garden Inn. I've been in the hospitality industry for 30 years. I'm looking at my friend Ike, and he and I have spent a lot of time working together. I feel in my position that I know a lot about events. I've planned huge events. I've been to them. I go to all of the venues in the city. I attend a ton of networking things. I get a lot of RFPs, so I kind of have a pulse of what's going on in the city. So this would be my 2nd term on the board.
Well, in your current professional role and your role as a member of the current board with Rick and me, I think this is a really exciting time for the FTAB board as we work with OVG. I think it really is. I think we've got some opportunities in front of us. And to Bruce's point about his experience, and as Julie was recognizing, I think we have the opportunity to work with the OVG team and really create some dynamic opportunities.
Yes, since the 2 of you have joined the council, I mean, those meetings have changed quite a bit. So, and I would say for the positive. Good. So.
Thanks. Thanks, Jody.
Thank you.
Jody.
Historic Preservation Commission, Matthew Scott.
Hello, Matt Scott. I would like to, I'm up for a 2nd term and I'd like to do that. I completed someone's first term. And I wasn't gonna do it, but I think there's some good things with it that I would like to continue working on with the other board, especially like Larry and Wade. I think there's good things going on with that. One is the abandoned and vacant property thing ordinance that we had talked about in February, I believe. So that's the reason I'm reapplying this time.
Great.
I
They sucked
appreciate
you
you.
in.
We're counting on you, Matt.
What'd you say? Yeah.
I think that we're going to have an abstention on the one part.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like your chances otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Have a good day.
All right, thank you. Human Rights Commission, Terry McGaffin.
Hey, Terry.
Afternoon.
Terry McGaffin, Sioux City, and I am applying also for my second term on the Human Rights Commission. So I've served on the commission for 3 years, and I have learned a great deal. I have learned about the services that are provided by the staff, who is very professional, very compassionate, and also very impartial in their investigations into the complaints brought to their attention. So I have a great deal of respect for them, and I have really felt that service on this commission has been a value to this community, so I ask also for a second term. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't have any questions. I have a statement that when I see someone go like this, because you feel like you were valued and what you do offers value, that means a lot. And I thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I think we've learned, Terry, that not especially, but in particular, those that apply to the Human Rights Commission have a certain passion for that activity, and I think that's very commendable. I know that we've got three vacancies, so I appreciate that you're willing to continue to serve.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Terry.
you.
Library Board of Trustees, Jane Vereen.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, good afternoon. You may call me a glutton for punishment if you wish, but I'm hoping that the council will see fit to extend my service on the board. I've been on it 2.5 total terms, but the immediate future holds some challenges, the first of which is the search for an appointment for a new director, which I've been involved with, and I am part of as president of the board and as being on the search committee. We hope and plan to have a new director in place by the early fall. Once a director is in place, the board looks forward to the implementation of a strategic plan for our library system here in Sioux City for the future. This plan will be implemented after input and study of information from taxpayers, as city departments and patrons, and most importantly, library professionals here and statewide, to make sure our local library system can see our city into the future. I'm a strong believer that a free public library is essential to the citizens of a democracy. It is a shared public space that empowers every individual the power to grow, explore, and participate in society. In the words of Laura Bush, I have found that the most valuable thing in my wallet is my library card.
There you go.
Questions?
Jane, I think the question that I've got is, we obviously review and approve your minutes on a regular basis, and I know the minutes for today that we reviewed commented that you're going to reopen the position for the director's spot, which I understand. I know that you had Jim. I visited a number of times with Jim, and he had shared that he thought you had some good candidates. They didn't work out. In light of the delay, do you think it still would make sense for your board? I respect the fact that getting the new director, he or she's going to have a significant role in defining the short and long-term strategies of the library, but do you think it might still make sense for your board to begin the dialogue of that short-term and long-term planning, especially in light of the dialogue that we had during the budget cycle 4 months ago? And I just think it makes more sense to promote that dialogue sooner than later.
I see no reason why I can't bring that to the board and say there are certain aspects of it that the board can do on its own without the input of a new director. So I agree with that. That would be
great. Thanks, Jane.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yamanashi Sister City Committee, Liz Roop.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Liz Roop. I've worked in Sioux City for 4 years now. I've been a Sioux City resident for going on 2.5 years now. I've had a deep and persistent interest in Japanese history and culture for 15 years. During my time as an undergraduate student in 2019, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Japan for a semester. I was able to spend a day visiting Yamanashi City, beautiful community rather, just like our own. I would love to be able to serve on this committee to help increase community awareness of this beautiful sister city relationship. And I've been wanting to get more engaged in the community, find a way to volunteer in the community, and I think this would be kind of a perfect fit because of my past interests and experiences.
Great. No, I think that, yeah, I like that.
Absolutely.
I think your experience
All right,
would be welcomed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to the consent agenda, which is items 3 through 13D. You can consider them to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote's requested by a council member. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item may come to the podium at the time that item is being discussed or read. Anybody wishing to speak on an item not on their agenda needs to come up under citizen concerns. Remember to always state your name for the record, and remember that we will limit your comments today to 3 minutes. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is a reading of the June 1st City Council minutes. 4 is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the 13th Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project. 5 is a resolution authorizing payment to Mark Albanesius for the Dace Avenue and Leach Avenue 3-lane conversion project. 8 are actions relating to grants. A is a resolution authorizing the police department to apply for and receive the Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau grant, state and community highway safety grant for overtime hours, training, travel, and equipment. B is a resolution authorizing the police department to accept JAG funds from the Office of Drug Control Policy for an expansion to the Flock Safety License Plate Reader Camera System. I'd like to pull that for a separate vote, please.
I do have a question. Chief, are 6A and B, the amounts of the grants and the awards consistent with prior years or more or less?
Are you talking about GTSB, Rex-Mueller Police Department? It varies, but that's fairly consistent with what we see from the GTSB grants. Sometimes they might vary based on the demands of the grant. You know, sometimes they're focused on seat belts, sometimes they're focused on OWI enforcement. We just, we look for whatever guidance we get from the GTSB. They're usually performance-based, and the reason we keep getting grants is we do generate numbers for the GTSB, and we're a good partner, so that's the way they look upon it year to year.
And then on 6B, on the Flock Safety License Plate Reader System, I know that we talked about that in the winter when I think that's when it came in front of us to authorize submission of the grant, and we talked about the use of those JAG funds for other purposes. You still feel that, and maybe this is why the mayor wants to bring it out, you still feel that that $77,000 is best used for the Flock system?
That's what our focus is going to be, just to alleviate the city of Sioux City of the costs of that, since there is no match, and to allow us to build on that Flock or a LPR network. I think Flock is synonymous with a manufacturer, and I think I want to say that we're just looking to expand our LPR network.
You need a second to pull that out, or was it already seconded?
Bertrand.
Are we voting on A and B together, or
He's asking for just B.
just B?
6B. Rayford. Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
No.
Bernstein.
Aye.
7, actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving task order number 2 to the agreement for professional services for grant writing services for HDR engineering.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just didn't want to go to A. 8 until, were you done reading 7? 7A?
That's what I just read, didn't I?
Okay, is Teresa here on this item? So was this otherwise considered a separate grant writer position than amending the agreement with HDR? Because for $65,000, I don't think would be careless for us to consider having a permanent grant writer in the city.
Teresa Fitch, Assistant City Manager. Actually, we do have one in the complement, but it was determined that we go through an RFP process.
That's my
and
point,
we
is
have
it's in
a-
the complement, but we have not
Correct.
hired that position.
Correct. So we're using a portion of that funding towards this agreement with HDR. And it's that way in the 26 budget and the 27 budget. We can certainly fund the full position in the 28 budget, but right now, we've pulled a portion of that, and we're only paying for those grants that HDR will apply for out of that funding.
And their grants applications that they're specifically tasked to apply for, because they're going to be the expert for us, since we haven't filled that complement.
Yes.
Okay.
So each time they apply for a grant, you'll have a task. It'll be amended with each task order.
Related to HDR work.
Correct. Which, yep, related to them applying for those grants for us.
I'm comfortable not pulling this out today because of the timing, but I would like further dialogue about adequately filling the full-time grant writer position in the city. I think that those funds would easily recover themselves.
Yep, we can do that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
B is a resolution approving a service provider agreement with Riverside Technologies in conjunction with the OVG Managed Facilities Information Technology Services. C is a resolution awarding and approving a contract to Farner Asphalt Dealers for Taxiway C and associated areas rehabilitation project at the airport. D is a resolution approving a letter of agreement with Civic Leadership Search Partners to provide and administer a law enforcement executive recruitment search for the position of the police chief.
Can we pull this for a separate vote, please?
And Janelle, I should have asked you this earlier when I saw you downstairs. What's the process? Because we talked about a pretty in-depth process to weed out candidates. This is one of the most important positions in the city, in my opinion. I want to make sure they have to go through a very rigorous process to come to the top. Are we going to go through that like we did a few times ago?
Janelle Bertrand, Human Resources Director. The Chief of Police is considered a civil service position, so there are civil service requirements that this position have to meet, in addition to a multitude of ILEA requirements.
I get all that, but
So-
there's also ways that
Yep.
you can do testing to make sure that they,
So first of all, they'll have to meet the min-quals. Once that's done, we'll have an assessment center, which is involving a written exam, oral exam, and a presentation. And that is to determine did the candidates pass the score to get on the eligibility list. And then that's certified at our commission. And then once the eligibility list is in place, then it's presented to the hiring manager, which in this case is the city manager. And then he will appoint or interview, or whatever process is determined to select that person will happen after the eligibility list is certified.
I'm not sure you've answered my question yet.
Okay?
What process did they use a few chiefs ago when Frisbee got the job? They hired that group, and you tell me they're no longer in business.
Right. That was before my time.
Right, I know.
But we are following the same process, which is the assessment center that the McCann Group utilized.
Okay, so we are using.
We are using it, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, so you were very pleased with that process? Is that
Well,
why
that
you're
process-
going back and looking back?
Frisbee will tell you they got the very best guy.
Well, of course.
But anyway, the one thing about that, it does do all kinds of different assessments.
Right.
It's just not a test and you're done.
Right. So you like that mechanism, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's pretty in-depth.
And that's what it is. It's a three-part assessment. You have the assessment center, which is like a mock simulation where they'll have to do a presentation of a situation that is current. There's a written examination and an oral exam. And then we have panel members that are made up of experts in the law enforcement field to score that.
Okay.
And this is a common practice in other cities?
Yes.
Janelle, is there anywhere in the process, I was just talking to Mike, is there anywhere in the process that the I know it's up to the hiring manager, and I'm not trying to deflect from that, but when's our first sniff at the candidates, the council? Do we have any input? Do we have any oversight? Is there anything? We're not the hiring people, we know that, but
Sure.
I mean, the direction, I think that we're giving the hiring manager direction, but just curious on when's our first look? After it's hired? Has there ever been precedent before that? Like an interview process 2 at a time or anything like that, or?
I think would be up to Mike and you and myself. I know last time we had multiple panels after the eligibility list was certified, so that.
I think we intend to follow multiple panels with multiple input
Right.
for union, department heads. And
That was my question. They kind of want us, they wanted a little seat at the table too, and
Yep.
and we would like a seat at the table too, just to kind of, get a look-see and make sure that we're all kind of headed the same direction.
That can be discussed.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
This is what Civic Leadership Partners, Search Partners specialize in.
Yes, they're a boutique recruitment firm, and they specialize in law enforcement positions only.
Right, I'm asking a question that I knew the answer to, but I just want everyone to know
correct.
that it's not just a general employment agency.
No.
They drill down, and this is who
Yes.
they search for.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
I recognize the importance of this position. I respect the chief and worked with Chief Frisbee prior. My reluctance, and I shared this with you, Janelle, is that I believe that we can do at least this initial stage internally. I'm not pleased with what we've seen in our community over the last couple of years using search firms to retain high-level executives. My preference, and I'm going to vote no, my preference is that we do this internally. And if you come back to us in 3 months and tell us that we're not finding the right candidates, we don't have the right resources, I'll respect that. But I don't believe it's necessary to hire a search firm regardless of whether they're a boutique firm that hires police chiefs or not. I think that our community just has not experienced good luck. We've not identified good candidates, and so I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Rayford,
Yes.
Shaner,
Yes.
Scott,
Aye.
Berenstain,
No.
Bertrand.
E is a resolution awarding and approving a contract to Carter's Fence Company for the perimeter fence improvement project at the airport. Did you send them a nice thank you note for bidding this job, Mr.?
It was significantly less than the other bidders.
Significant less than it's ever been.
They want to do business with the city, and that's their proof.
F is a resolution approving a consulting and services agreement with JEO Consulting for the Zenith Water Treatment Plant Riverfront Well Project. G is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the contract with INA Construction for the sidewalk ramp project. H is a resolution awarding and approving a contract to Sioux City Engineering for the undersized water main replacement project. 8 are actions relating to personnel. A is a resolution amending the position classification manual by adopting a newly created job description for the position of transit fleet manager. B is a resolution amending the position classification manual by adopting a newly created job description for the position of airport administration coordinator. C is a resolution amending the position classification manual by adopting an updated job description for the position of the transit operations manager.
Mike, as it relates to 8B and the airport administration coordinator, I have no problem reclassifying the position, but when the detail was provided to us in our material over the weekend, it described a very significant amount of responsibility that that person has. And the increase, I want to say, was $800 of an increase. If we're making the adjustment, I'm questioning whether the increase in compensation is adequate.
Sure. This was looked at kind of during the budget process and given the transition that we're going to go through, with myself stepping down and we're interviewing for airport directors. She does a fair amount of this work currently already, and I felt we need to recognize that.
And that's my point. Are we recognizing it adequately?
I think in our discussions, we thought we were.
Okay.
9 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution inviting proposals for the lease of land in the Donner Park Urban Renewal Area, announcing the intent to accept the proposal of the Siouxland Youth Hockey Association, and scheduling a hearing. The property is a portion of the land at 3808 Stadium Drive. B1 is a resolution approving a Fourth Amendment to the development agreement and related mortgage releases with Motor Mart landowner and 413 Pierce Street, property at 420 Nebraska Street and 413 Pierce Street.
Marty, are you here? Marty, just a quick question. You and I had a chance to visit about this item earlier. I know you were going to visit with Chris. My question has no issue with regard to the assignment, but the due diligence that we do on the organization being assigned the contract. Chris, did you have a chance to go through that, do a due diligence on the S&E?
Chris Myers, Business Development Coordinator. We've basically, we've talked in great length with the current owners. They have turned down several offers because they did not feel that that they would be right for downtown Sioux City and would be right for these properties. The prospective buyer actually wanted to be here tonight, but he had a conflict coaching his son's baseball game.
Which is where he should be.
Yeah. The
Glad you said that because I have a grand. Go ahead.
And he has already inquired with us about the tenant improvement program for downtown. So we have a lot of confidence that he is going to do good things for the building and especially for the first floor retail space that's available. Another thing that we always look at is how much of the existing development agreement is unfulfilled.
Right.
And as we look through that, there's nothing left to do. So there's nothing in there that we would say, no, we want the other guys to still be doing this so that they're taking care of the building.
I think the loan will be repaid, so there's no issues with regard.
Yes,
to
they
the
are closing on Wednesday, and we will not record the mortgage guarantees or any of these documents until we have received the funds.
Also, the current owners who we worked with for quite a while have had one person retire, and I think they indicated they were.
Yeah, most of their properties are in Omaha, and they just have trouble getting up here with only one person in the office and that sort of thing, so.
Very good.
Marty, will you state your name for the record, please? State your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Marty Doherty, Economic and Community
Thank
Development
you.
Director.
Well, it does a lot that they held out for a quality buyer.
Yeah,
It really does.
They did.
B2 is a resolution approving an assignment and assumption of the agreement with the Motor Mart landowner, 413 Pierce Street, and Sioux City Flats property at 520 Nebraska Street and 413 Pierce Street. C is a resolution approving a development agreement with MD Southern and Stephen Gordon and Bethany Manning Trust, the property at Lot 3 Northern Valley Crossing. D is a resolution accepting a purchase agreement with MD Southern and Stephen Gordon and Bethany Manning Trust for the purchase of property at 3700 Jefferson Street. E is a resolution rescinding resolution number 2026-0468 and accepting a purchase agreement from GP Real Estate for the purchase of 3 permanent easements and 3 temporary easements at 3516 Singing Hills Boulevard, 3800 Singing Boulevard, and an unaddressed parcel at north of Donner Avenue. Purchasing. A is a purchase order or resolution awarding a purchase order to Gov Connection for the purchase of Nutanix HCI. B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Ed Stivers Ford for 2 Ford F-550 crew cab trucks with plow package. 11 are applications for cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, vapor product permits. 12 are applications for alcohol license, and 13 are boards and commission and committee minutes. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? That concludes the consent agenda.
Hi, I would like to speak about the flock cameras.
Go ahead, but next time come up when we read it, okay, just so you know. Go ahead, state your name though, okay?
Yep, Zayden Refit. I am here to speak against the continued expansion of flock cameras in Sioux City. I understand the desire to solve crimes and to keep our community safe, but safety should not come at the expense of privacy and accountability. Every day, my movements are being recorded by a growing network of surveillance cameras in our city. On my way to the doctor, I pass 4 cameras. On my way to work, I pass 3, and going to my friend's house on the other side of town, I pass 5. At some point, we have to ask, why are we creating a city where every trip is tracked and stored simply at the prospect of possibly solving a crime? Supporters of these cameras say only authorized people can access the data, but across the country, license plate reader systems have been abused by people with access to them. There have been documented cases involving officers and government employees using surveillance databases to monitor former romantic partners and other individuals for personal reasons. The fact that these abuses have occurred elsewhere means it can happen here. This is especially concerning for victims of domestic violence and stalking. If someone with system access decides to misuse that access, they can potentially learn where a person works, shops, receives medical care, worships, or spends time with friends and family. By the time an audit discovers the misuse, the harm has already been done. We are constantly told there are safeguards, but where is the independent oversight? Who is reviewing access logs? How often are they reviewed? What are the penalties for misuse? How many people have access to this data? How widely can it be shared? The public deserves clear answers to these questions. Privacy is not something we should give up simply because a technology company promises to use our data responsibly. Once a surveillance system is built, future officials could always expand it if there's other safeguards that have been put in place. But right now, I urge the city to put the rights of residents first and reject further expansion of flock cameras until there is strong, independent accountability measures and meaningful protections against abuse.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I don't know if the chief wants to respond, or much of what you shared, very well stated, were questions that were addressed when the grant application was discussed a couple of months ago. And I think it's fair to say that the council at that time was given the proper assurances. It doesn't mean that we live in a perfect world, so your concerns are still very fair and valid, but I think we've tried to address those to the best that we can, and do what we believe is best for the, you're welcome to come back up.
So actually, this is a nationally accessible network. Police officers from across the country can access this, not just our police department here in Sioux City. And accountability just from internally is not going to help anything. I'm sorry, but if there's anything, we need to add restrictions here, not just in the police department. And I've reached out and had no response, as well as reaching out to Mr. Scott with no response.
I voted against this every time.
I know, I know, but I didn't get a response when I wanted to talk to you about this.
You reached out to me, it didn't get to me because I do respond, so, and I voted against this every time, so you got the wrong guy today.
But, I know, just saying that I didn't get a response, but as well as reaching out to the chief of police with no response. This is something that a lot of people are concerned about. I think it's something that's scary. I started a petition. We've received over 200 signers in the last week, hoping to get more and submit them to you in a week or two. But this is something that's really concerning. It's scary that someone could just access the footage and find me for doing nothing wrong. If I had, say, an ex-romantic partner in the police department and they wanted to hurt me, they can find me. They can find anyone. How scary is that? Is that not concerning to you guys? If anything, I'd say put up those speed cameras that say your speed. Those are proven to reduce people speeding. But not cameras that surveil your every movement when you're on the road. Do you guys not share this concern?
No, not at the level that you're speaking of.
Please.
I just don't. I support the measure.
It's called privilege.
Okay, thank you.
Passes 5-0. The consent agenda will go to number 14, recommendation from Planning and Zoning. Motion acknowledging the Board of Adjustment actions from May 26th. I'll move that.
Second.
So you're speaking to number 14?
Yes.
Good.
You hear me?
Sure.
William Burrows. I just wanted to ask, before you acknowledge it, what were the actions that happened on May 26th? And how would someone from the public access that information?
Chris Madsen, Planning Division Manager. The one item was a conditional use permit for a barge terminal off of the Missouri River for Army Corps usage.
Okay. And is that recorded somewhere, Chris?
The minutes are recorded and all of our agendas are online.
It would be the Board of Adjustment minutes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Chris.
Hello, my name's Ted Lara. I've been a resident here since the beginning.
We're on item 14. Is that what you want to address?
I just want to say hello. Thank you for accommodating me and letting me be part of the warming shelter and being there for them. Thank you.
Thank you. We're doing the agenda, so if this is citizen concerns thing, guys, you need to wait. We do it by item number, okay?
Okay. My name is Angelina Twyford. I'm born and raised in Sioux City. I think I recognize Ike. I think I seen you at the MLK choir thing once. I recognize a lot of people here watching and listening from the community. I'm always outside every day in the community doing things, shopping locally. But I don't recognize any of these people making these decisions in Sioux City, born and raised. I don't know if you guys, where you guys hang out.
I'm going to ask you to come up under citizen concerns. That's where this is. We're still on the regular agenda.
Okay, I'll speak with you soon.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. 5-0 on number 14. 15 is a hearing and ordinance vacating a portion of West 19th Street and Colorado Avenue adjacent to 3530 West 19th Street. The petitioner is the City of Sioux City. P&Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. Is anybody opposed to waiving statutory rule?
Nope.
I'll move it.
Second.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Berenstein.
Aye.
Bertrand. Rayford.
Aye.
Move second and third.
Second.
Scott.
Aye.
Berenstein.
Aye.
Bertrand. Rayford.
Aye.
Shaner.
Downtown Partners Quarterly Update.
Are we up on screen, Danny? Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I do know how to pack a room for a downtown update. Hopefully I'll keep this quick so everybody can get to why they are here, but thank you for having us. This is Downtown Partners Quarterly Update. Here's our current Board of Directors. Unfortunately, at the end of June, we will be losing 2 members to term out after their 2-term stint, Alexia Boggs and Eric Martin. Dave Bernstein and Jake Hawkins are currently on the ballot for the properties to vote on right now, and we'll know July 1 to have them start.
Greg, will you introduce yourself?
Sorry, Reagan Cody, Downtown Partners. I'd like to go over the financials real briefly in each of my presentations to kind of let you know where we were and where we're at. Right now in 2026, we are currently in that budget year. We're at about 70% of our budget. Our budget flows by the end of the budget. We spend quite a bit in May and June getting ready for summer and things like that. So right now being at 70% is a pretty good thing for us. You'll see also in 2027, our budget drops a little bit, only like 0.7% from $516,000 to $513,000. A majority of our funds, as you can see in the pie graph there, is projects. We spend quite a bit on projects, business support, marketing, events, and then operations. This is the team, and if you haven't met all of them yet, please stop by. Tracy has currently changed her role from the business development coordinator into a placemaking and activations role. This is going to allow us to do more on the streets and to get things done with events. Raj joined us in April
15th, actually, to be exact. He is our business liaison. He is doing a great job so far making sure that our 524 businesses are taken care of and attended to. In the middle, I've got a picture of Bill. It's the only one I could get, and I thought it was pretty fantastic. It tells you exactly what he does. He's out on the streets. He is getting trees trimmed. He is doing different things, picking up trash and graffiti, and that's what I'll cover with you now. For seasonal maintenance services, Bill was contracted with us on April 15th, and he will stay through October. Between April and June, he's recorded quite a bit for us and taken care of a lot of items. 938 items, total areas needing attention. Of that, every time he sees litter, so you see that large number there, it is picked up, it is taken care of. The 372 areas of litter has been what we've tried to track. The graffiti, for example, 31 of those were city property. That makes it easier for us to report. There is a link through the Sioux City PD that we use to track graffiti so that it goes through the system and then is removed properly. The other instances are on private property or businesses, so we are working to get kind of a blanket statement with them saying it's okay for us to report it on their behalf so that it can get removed and taken care of more quickly than having to have them do it. We currently met with Block by Block. Councilman Bertrand was on that. We got a report back from them. This would bring about 6 to 8 people on the streets to do more of what Bill's doing. I hope by the end of this, you'll be able to see that things like this are necessary. Block by Block is quite a big operation. They do very, very well. They do great work. They are pricey, they are expensive, but if it's an action that we want to move forward with, we do have that while we're looking through Bill's stuff this year to kind of compare and see where we want to go with that. So that's on the table, and I'd welcome all of you to check it out.
The one question that I had, Reagan, at our last board meeting was the impact that Block by Block could have not only on the cleanup and sort of the policing of the downtown area, but also the skywalk area. Did you get any clarity on what role they might be able to play in the skywalks and in the parking
Yes.
ramps?
Let me say, as any good business, everything's negotiable. So the skywalks could be in. They've talked about transportation. They've talked about many, many things. They do anything that we can think of that needs to be done in downtown. They have a way, shape, and form for doing. They've encountered them, obviously, in other cities as well. There's only 11 other cities that have skywalks, but of those, 4 of those, they do provide that. So it's possible.
Can you remind us how many blocks are in our downtown?
It's 56 square blocks.
A lot of times the focus is on.
A lot of blocks.
It's on, our focus, though, when we say downtown, can often just be directed to the historic Fourth Pearl.
Oh, no, yeah, they're everywhere.
I just want to.
Yeah, and to follow up on that meeting,
fine.
Reagan, which I thought was an outstanding meeting, and I know that you guys have all sat in on those. It was my first meeting with Block to Block. These guys are the real deal. They're not a limp-in company. They have 220 other communities from 30,000 to 1 million people that they come in, and it was really impressive, the confidence they had. And the part that I liked the most was how they start. They start and they just keep expanding their perimeter and then creating a commerce zone and the contact they have with the existing businesses and their track record of filling spaces, literally how the spaces fill out in that 18 to 24 months. And to me, that was, so they're spendy, but they'll do exactly what we need them to do, and with a partnership with Downtown Partner. And I think if we're really serious about revitalizing the downtown and what we got going down in the Walgreens area and all of that, they're a very viable option that I think we could partner with you guys. I was extremely impressed with that individual when he came in.
They bring a lot of expertise.
Then he's got confidence. There's no doubt. And what I liked about it too is they bring in kind of you're not totally dependent upon local eyes when you start. So they bring in kind of a supervisor team at the beginning that kind of brings the local feel in, which I think creates the stability of the program. I just think as a council, it's worth us all discussing. We don't get an opportunity to discuss it that much, but they really are going to do what we say, and I think this is what we're looking for. And again, 220 other. He just left Portland, which I thought was interesting. Wasn't it Portland?
Yes.
And they finally said enough was enough, and and he was evaluating that, and I said, how many people is that going to take? And he's like, I don't know, 11 or 12. I mean, it wasn't like this crazy amount of staff, and for us, he's saying anywhere between 5 and 7 to do it right. And it might be something that, to look at. But anyway, I just want to support what you're doing. I thought it was an amazing meeting. It was probably one of the best meetings I had since I've been on the council, where I was just flat out impressed with someone coming in. They're the real deal.
I agree. And if you haven't seen it, I'm happy to share that report with all of you so you can kind of get a feel for it, but it's available as well. let me know.
Did wonders with Des Moines.
Reagan, you said that bill was just through October.
Correct.
Then we'll come back in the spring, or?
We will have the budget. We are budgeting fiscal year '27 for that. It's a small amount. I think I want to reevaluate after we know more about what he's been able to do and is doing, if it's enough. If we can do more with those types of funds, I want to be able to analyze that by the end of the summer. Yeah. He just shared a couple pictures with you. He's great at sending pictures, I'm not going to lie. The one on the left is the tree at the top, and then after he trimmed it down, and then same with the ADA. Basically, in those situations, those are emergency situations that we do report to the city, to Gordon and his team, and they were able to take care of that. Things like that, it's kind of the extent of the level of things that he's working on. Big project right now in downtown is the trees. I wanted to kind of give you a very generic map of where they're going and what was happening. So of the red spots here, we did cover with concrete. Unfortunately, those who had utilities running through them and they're unable to replant a tree. The green right now is what's being expanded, in addition to some trees along Virginia Street, thanks to our partners at State Steel and F&M Bank. They're going to be adding some as well to help with that kind of urban shadow coverage over on Virginia Street as the entrance there. This is how it started. Everybody saw the nice caution tape around all of the spots, and then this, happened. Yeah, thank you, Rain, and thank you.
It's green space.
My jokes didn't land so well, Julie. I was
on that email.
Yeah, this was not okay. This was something that we took care of by having to dig them all back out. So we just had a lot of delays. We had some storms that took Parks and Rec off of this project, and so we just had a lot of delays with trying to get things
No
done.
explanation necessary.
Anytime you're working in downtown, I wish it could go smoothly, but there's always something. This is city staff helping plant the tree over here for media. We had a day over on 4th and Virginia. Just to give you an idea, they do have on the image on the left there, the tree has some support. So not only are they tied together, but they have the branch going up so that they are supported. And our staff, not Bill, but we do have watering staff that water 181 planters in downtown. He's added his additional watering to make sure that these trees root over the next 3 years and are maintained well.
All 61 of them?
All 61 of them.
Great.
And out of curiosity, some people are asking, these are the types of trees that you'll see. No, the crab apples are not edible. We've had that question, but we do have some good coverage. The reason there's a variety is because of the variety on the street. There are some areas that do not get as much sun as others. That's evident in the weeds. Where they grew, it's where a lot of sun is going to hit. So making sure that those areas are covered. Just this morning, you would have received a council memo about another project we have for pedestrian counters, basically working with the trail systems and also with some of our vacant spaces to get some foot traffic numbers in areas and do some data searching here. Very early in this project, but for future of retail and other development, it helps along with where we want to add bike lanes or trails and kind of get counters for that and where pedestrians are going. Just a reminder of the things that we do. This is our 2025 annual report up there on the left. Just an update on grants is what I like to give you on my quarterly update. We put out $162,526 in storefront grants, and that is in $675,000 of new investment. That's the total project costs that are getting done with these funds. So we represent there's over 68 businesses that have taken advantage of this grant. Also, rent relief. If you are new to downtown and coming in, we help you with rent for the first 6 months. That program has currently spent $30,000 and 14 new businesses because of it. The next screen here is just social media updates, a couple fun pictures there for you, but year to year we are going up. We consistently do better each month, it seems like. Everybody just wants to be more in the know. So the most engaging posts that we have were the new trees, which is why it was up on the screen in front of you. Restaurant Week, Al Joan wins the cake on that one. He wanted basically lots of people wanting to go to dinner with Al. It was new this year for Restaurant Week. We did dinner with a Sioux celebrity, so it was kind of a fun different spin on it, and we paid for dinner for them and the winner. And then welcoming 712 Fit and engagements and impressions on Restaurant Week just went through the roof this year with that support. First Fridays, if you weren't downtown this weekend, I don't know what you were hiding from. There were plenty of things happening. We had First Fridays. That started with Food Truck Fridays, kicked off. We have 15 trucks this year, 20 that actually want to come in, but there's just not enough room some days. So we will work with that. Downtown Live was that evening. That new location, I think if anybody was there will tell you, was phenomenal. It was nice to have the shade. It was just a great ambiance. And that's happening on the first Friday of every month down at 4th and Virginia. The other ones that went very well were June Jam up there in the upper left. They had a great crowd going into the evening and some of the concerts there. Pride Week was this weekend, and then coming up next weekend, because we just keep rolling and doing more stuff, is Saturday, June 13th. We have our very first runway show in downtown Sioux City. Red carpet, you can shop the runway, and there's lots of vendors and models for that. I'll leave you with this. We invite you all to the annual meeting. You should have gotten an invite on June 25th. That evening, starting at 4:30 to 6:30, we'll have kind of an open house style to come and check out all the projects and see where we're going for the next year or two.
That'll be in the Badro building.
Badro Building, 12th floor. Yes. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Reagan.
Citizen concerns. Please state your name for the record.
Hi. Wow. I'm Jody House, and I'm a resident of Sioux City and a supporter of the work being done by the warming shelter. And I'm here today to bring my concerns regarding the allegations that Rick Bertrand made about the warming shelter last week at last council meeting. And I'm sure that you're aware that your comments and your own admission of it being your priority to get the shelter listed as in public nuisance has left a lot of Sioux City residents upset. It prompted the warming shelter to have an open house today from 1 to 3. Was you able to attend that today, Mr. Bertrand? Okay. And there was also an informational gathering downstairs. Was you able to get any information today?
Yeah, I'm in contact.
Okay. Did you attend the gathering downstairs?
No,
Okay. Just checking. Well, if, I guess, never mind on that note. Now, I guess, now that at the last meeting, you stated that 70% want help and the other 20 to 30% are hampering. Now, I'm curious to know where you came up with those percentages, but that's another day since I only have 3 minutes. So considering you had made, you had discussed somebody that called you and emailed you regarding the things that happen after 9 p.m. at the warming shelter and how it's not safe. And I guess it would be safe to say that your informant, because he wanted to be anonymous, for lack of a better term, is one of the 20 to 30% that doesn't want help because he has been in and out of the warming shelter for the last couple of years, you said? Well, that's what you said last week.
I'm assuming that he's in and out. I mean, there's been multiple people, so.
Okay, but you had stated that that he is the one that had reached out to you. You spoke to him at length over an hour, and that he was credible. Okay, so your reasoning for making this be your, I don't know, your will to make the warming shelter a nuisance is his information that he gave you?
It's a collaboration.
And who's collaborating, other than the one informant that you spoke to for an hour? I'm not. We can watch last week's meeting if you'd like. It's on YouTube.
Councilman Bertrand, will you pull down your microphone?
Well, I guess for you to make these accusations from one unnamed source to appear to be factual, and it's actually an opinion at this point, is not only unprofessional, Mr. Bertrand, but it's irresponsible. You are asking donors to reconsider donating to a very viable
You're gonna need to wrap up
area.
your comment.
Okay, I know, 3 minutes. Okay, based on your own bias and the word of an anonymous resource. And I guess I would ask, until you take an active role in educating yourself, not using anybody else, but educating yourself on the warming shelter, I would ask that you would just refrain from defaming the shelter.
Going to ask you one more time.
Okay,
Time's
and
up.
for the
Time's
council,
up.
I would ask that you would discourage
Time is
Mr.
up,
Bertrand
ma'am.
from continuing this behavior.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Don't enforce the rules.
Hi, Terry O'Brien. I'm live at 51104. I too am here on behalf of the warming shelter. I'm sorry. I don't know what you guys do and don't know, but I started a clinic up there. And I go up there and I meet with residents, and a lot of them, I help them get their Social Security. A lot of them, I help them get their child support. A lot of them, I help them get things like IDs, things that are very easy to get, but they don't know how to maneuver the system. It's easy, and once I get it done, when they get their Social Security, they move out. A couple weeks ago, I read or saw that there were 260 incidents at the warming shelter. So with the permission of the warming shelter and their residents, I took all their names and I ran them through EDMS. That means if they had any contact with the Sioux City Police Department or were charged or were arrested, their names came up. I have everybody. There were 12 instances, and most of those were either speeding or something minor. We didn't have any serious instances. That's less than one a month. I do know that I have several clients that live in the apartment buildings, that live around that area, and I'm thinking that the Sioux City Police Department uses the warming shelter as a point of reference, because I know that I represent people, either through juvenile court or criminal court, that live in those apartment complexes. And frequently, I get police reports that say the warming shelter, but they were near the warming shelter when they ran out of the apartment building, but they were not residents of the warming shelter. I also read that you guys are saying, not you guys, people are saying that a lot of these people are being booked in. When I do my clinics, I ask where these people are from, and most of them tell me they were born and raised in Sioux City. I have run into a few that are from out of town, not Sioux Falls, not Omaha. One was from California, driving through and their car broke down. I don't think that their destination was Sioux City. They didn't even know it existed. So it's a really good place. It's saving people's lives. And we need to work with these people. Nobody needs to fight about this. We just need to be normal human beings and care for one another. And I'm telling you, these are really good people. I have put 2 kids through WIT.
So you need to wrap it up, okay?
I put 2 kids through WIT, and I've put several families in apartments with the help of many of my friends. So it is a good place, and we are getting them out of there. So please, let's go easy on the warming shelter. Thank you.
Keep it going. All right, I'm Gary Lewis. I'm going to keep it short because I live in the neighborhood. I consider the warming shelter part of my neighborhood. From my window, I can see the homeless population walking up and down the street. And if there's no place for them to go, they congregate in a park in my neighborhood. And the warming shelter gives them a place to go. I've set up fundraisers for the warming shelter for many, many years. I have taken, in the last couple of years, I've volunteered taking people driving people to medical appointments and to funerals. I have seen what it's like not having the warming shelter for those people to go to, and I see what the warming shelter does for my neighborhood, having it there. I also, through the warming shelter, came into the life of a young man who was basically dropped off in Sioux City, went to the warming shelter, and started putting himself through high school. With the help of the people that work at the warming shelter, we were able to get him into more secure housing at the Crittenden Center. And he is now a graduate of West High School, and he would not have probably had that opportunity if he hadn't had the place like the warming shelter to go to.
Gary,
He certainly.
can I just say one thing? I've been following that story of yours in the support of him,
Okay.
and it is wonderful. Where
Yeah.
did he get dropped off from?
That's not for me to say. I really don't.
Not from Sioux City?
Not from Sioux City,
Okay.
no.
I just wondered.
No, but he is in Sioux City now.
He is, I know, it's great.
And,
I've been following you.
I'm not here to speak for him.
No,
Just
I'm just that's fine. I just acknowledging that I've.
Darn good kid. It's not an easy place for him. It wasn't an easy place for him to be.
He's very young.
Huh?
He's very young.
Yep, and it's not a very easy place for anybody to be, but they are taking steps to help people get out of there and move their lives along. And with the help of this community, I hopefully will get this young man's future set into college and perhaps even employment here in Sioux City. So yeah, I'm going to go with her. Back off. You know, these people are doing a good work. They don't deserve the criticism. They don't deserve the accusations. They don't deserve the finger pointing. They deserve a little bit more praise than what they get. And that's all I got to say. Oh, and I'll see y'all when I have to reapply for the commission.
Maria Roanquist, 3131 Norman Drive. I'm here to speak on two things. On behalf of the warming shelter that is in hot. Really, it's uprising the community, supporting the warming shelter. Please do keep the warming shelter open. It's needed. And my second thing is that I am a board member of the Neighborhood Network. Since 1991, I am a co-founder of the Neighborhood Network. And in this in a paper that Mr. Bertrand wants to close the parks. And the Neighborhood Network adopted the Dinosaur Park in 1991. It was a piece of land, city land, and the neighborhood did fundraisings to put playground, and Mrs. Privet, who lives in Nebraska Street, took care of the park. She passed away, and we did a memorial in the park on her name, and we have a rock there on her name. Since Mr. Bertrand wants to close the park for...
I don't want to close the parks.
You don't want to close the parks?
No. Nobody's talked about closing any parks.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I have over 400 signatures here and supported all the parks. We need to...
Well, Maria, I'm glad you brought that up, because what the discussion was is that right now the parks have been in a situation where they need new equipment, and there's going to be a monster investment on the city on new equipment across the parks. So the council decided, say, if we're going to do this, why don't we look at a dated park system? It's okay to, this is just discussions that look at a dated park system. We're living in a 60s and 70s park system, these huge parks. We said, why don't we look at what amenities the parks want instead of these huge space, not pocket parks, nothing like that, but how can the space be reused for more family-friendly equipment and maybe shelters, those type of things. That's the discussion that was had. And so when they put this out there, it was like, okay, what's the footprint of some of these parks? And if we don't use it, if we buy this new equipment, what happens to the excess ground? And they wanted to go out and ask the community, is this part, you want some new housing in there? Not low-income housing, nothing, just free market-based housing. And the community responded on a few of the parks. Completely accept their feedback. It was respectful. It was informative. It was great. But the good news is, from a positive standpoint, is that we're in the process of revitalizing parks. I mean, I talked to Matt. We're in the process of a massive investment in these next few years, and we want to get it right. It's just kind of like the library discussion gets blown up. There's nothing wrong with, people want change, but they're scared of the discussion. So that's all this is a discussion. And so again, I'm so glad you brought it up, gave me an opportunity to talk about it. Thanks, Maria.
Well, thank you for doing that there.
Thank you,
Maria.
Hello again, my name is Angelina Twyford. This is actually my first time ever being in this setting or being here, so I'm happy to be here. And the way my heart beats for Sioux City, I might as well take one of your chairs. Basically, what I want to say is I'm here advocating for the warming shelter and Sioux City itself, downtown Sioux City. Born and raised, love it here. It's truly beautiful. I don't, the only type of the specified crime thing that was going on and all that, I think, sorry, I'm kind of anxious. I'm losing my train of thought, but let me get my confidence backed up.
Take your time.
Yeah, basically, I rely heavily on mutual aid and civic initiative in Sioux City. It's helped me a lot. the people here, everybody that's with the warming shelter and everybody else sitting here, I've seen them. They may have not seen me, but I see them all the time. I'm really observant of the people in my city. I'm out here locally. I do not shop big, like big places, like big names. I try to just stay local. And I have not seen, like I don't recognize any of you guys. I recognize you. I seen you at the MLK choir thingy, so that's where I recognize you from, but I am going to push myself to learn more about how to be active and do these things because I think, you know, I really need to know you guys and know what you're doing. And I don't want it to be, you know, important acting people doing busy work and just acting as parasites. And I don't like the division between us. I feel the tension and the division and the misunderstanding. And really, that's not going to get us anywhere. It might help your pockets, but it's not really what matters long term. I here again to advocate for mutual aid and the warming shelter, and there's not much contribution from the city when it comes to that, you know, besides in a bigger level, maybe like the tax stuff, whatever. I still need to learn about that too. You know, but it's all people, poor people helping poor people, you know, it's solidarity, not charity. I'm 2 checks away from needing those resources because unless I got a cool family member, a cool friend that would help me, you know, and I do all the housework and everything, but, you know, so it's just, I hope to see it a better light and more praise on it, and not saying you got to be out here at the soup kitchen volunteering or giving anything. Just if you're uncomfortable with it and you feel like weird about it, then that's you, because I walk up and down that downtown on the hottest days and I feel fine, and I love it. I love talking to everybody around Sioux City. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Joe Twidwell, and I'm a deacon in the Catholic Church. I'm a board member of the warming shelter and one of the original founders. And one of the things as a deacon that we're called upon, the deacons, our ministry is service. And so one of the things that I have worked with Shayla and others is to serve those in need in this community. And we're very fortunate to have hundreds of agencies that serve them, but more importantly, we've got 37 of those agencies, according to Neighborhood Services, right downtown in a 10-block area, most of which predated the warming shelter, RTF, the Bus Transportation Center, Center for Siouxland, District Health, Community Health, a whole variety, probation offices. And one concern, it seems that the warming shelter is being singled out as being the problem, according to Councilman Bertrand, the problem with downtown, that we're somehow the instigator or the catalyst for it to happening. Your own neighborhood services can give you the numbers, but one of the things we've always tried to do is give you the facts. And as a member and as an officer of the Siouxland Coalition to End Homelessness, one of our responsibilities has been to have what's called the pit count. And since 2008, which was years before the warming shelter ever started, they have kept track of the sheltered and unsheltered homeless in Sioux City, and the average for all 18 years is over 300 each and every year. So, and so to say that the warming shelter is the catalyst for this, it's not accurate. And the reason why I'm here is because the thing that's interesting to me, I visited with the city attorney and I said, what are the ethical obligations of a city council person when they go on the record and state something as a fact and personally attack an entity? Is there an ethical violation there? And interestingly, as a citizen, if I get up and say anything as a personal attack or anything that is inaccurate, you can have me removed, not just from here, but removed from the chambers. But there is no ethical obligation on the part of city council members when you're speaking to each other. I checked after Councilman Bertrand raised the issue of 3 criminal things happening at the shelter. I checked with the chief of police and asked that an investigation be done. The chief came back to me, and I've got the email saying that no one has complained about those criminal activities.
Joe, we're trying to do 3 minutes and
Yep.
you're over, so I'm going to ask you to wrap it up, please.
Well, again, that coupled with the fact that I don't believe that Councilman Bertrand's visited with any of the people, the businesses that are proximate to the shelter, like Community Health, District Health, Bruce over at Don's Pro Shop. You already had one of the people who lives in the area. And so I think either what you said was either intentionally misleading because the chief of police had left
Joe,
at that time.
I've been very patient. You're
Thank
4
you.
minutes now, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Monique Scarlett, Sioux City, 51104. First of all, I don't know how many of you got a chance to be at our gathering downstairs, but I thought it was very positive and productive. And I just want to show you how much we do appreciate people in our community coming together in a spirit of unity. Director Shayla Moore and I had a great conversation about the warming shelter. And I mean, just from experience, personal experiences, I understand that there's various reasons why people are in a warming shelter. We should never assume that a person is in the shelter because they want to be. There are circumstances that do arise. But I stand today as president of Unity in the Community and the president of the Sioux City NAACP is to say that we need to work together. This is about people helping people. And if we say we are a community, then we come together in the spirit of unity and do just that. In order to make decisions, you have to get the right information and the facts. I heard a lot of that being said today. I'm thankful that we do have a Sioux City Police Department that hosts town halls because you can get a lot of great information from town halls and statistics that are factual. And one of those town halls, the most recent ones, it was stated that crime is not a homeless situation. It's a people problem. It's not the homeless. It's not the warming shelter. It's a people problem. So we cannot pinpoint those type of things on the homeless shelter. The homeless shelter is providing just that, a new chance, a new beginning. And instead of saying it's a nuisance, look at it in a different way. Flip that and say it's a new beginning for many people. Because you would be surprised how many people that you go to church with, in the grocery store with, that have been in a homeless shelter that you would never know about. So I'm just asking that this council, which I do appreciate you were in my speech today, I do appreciate you sitting in a seat of accountability because I understand there's hard decisions to make, but all I ask this council to do is continue to keep an open mind about what is the best thing for this community, and our community wants to be better, but we also want to be heard, and the shelter is doing an excellent job, and we need to applaud them and get behind them. And I want to thank our mayor and Council Berenstein for, I got the name right this time, for getting back to me. I appreciate that because that tells me that we're trying to find a solution. If there's a problem, let's be problem solvers. Okay, so together we are better, and I just wanted to stand up and say that I am in support 100% of this warming shelter, and I'm on board in whatever they need, and I'm asking the council to get on board with a resolve. Thank you.
Hi, Jim Anderson. My job with the warming shelter is to deal with the staff. I've been a therapist in Sioux City since 1968. I've been around for a while, and I really appreciate the intensity of what it is for the workers to work with the homeless. It's a tough job. And I work with Shayla every week. I see her. We go through everything that's a possibility of a problem. I have groups with the rest of the staff, and we keep them on track. This is not just a fly-by-night organization. We're organized. We are understanding of what our problems are, and we want to do things. Joe and I have been working on this for the last 14 years. So we do appreciate that, and we understand that we have, in the evening, 125 people, and during the day, 80 people. Now, where would those 80 people be if they weren't at the homeless shelter? Would they be in the parks? Would they be roaming around downtown? Where would they be? We now have a place for them to be, and you have to understand that we have to continue to work together to make this a progressive, helpful situation. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hope Fawcett. All the support for the warming shelter, but by the time people end up at the warming shelter, it's as if you found a body in the river. I think we need to go up the river and see why they're falling in. And I think the housing is unaffordable here, and the wages don't go up. So we need to look at affordable housing, maybe some sort of rent control, and actually look at wages. Thank you.
Anyone else?
You know, I'm always happy to say my piece. Brett Watchorn, as usual. Once again, I think I especially have to say it today. I don't remember there being a 3-minute time limit on the First Amendment.
Well, we have an answer for you for that, because actually you mention that every time.
And I will, every time.
You can, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
It does, because you don't respect it.
Yes,
we actually, Nicole did take it upon herself to check, and there was a 1984 case, Wright versus Anthony, that actually said that reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions are permitted and are not a violation of the Constitution.
You're correct. It doesn't mean it's right. Or the First Amendment. You're not respecting it by limiting people's time. But that's another story. That's not why I'm here. I would first like to thank, I think it was, sorry, I was listening at work. I believe, Craig, I think it was you. I'm not sure. Forgive me if it wasn't, but spoke against the flock cameras, or I think it was you, Bob, maybe.
It'll shock you, it was me.
Oh, no, please, I'm not shocked at all. I appreciate anybody smart enough to see that.
We don't agree on much, so that's why.
Well, you know, we got to find something eventually. But the flock cameras are a gross invasion of privacy, no matter what the police say, no matter what anybody up there believes. They are. They absolutely are. And it's just pushing us closer to the 1984 style surveillance state. But some people want that, and some people would prefer to remain free. Anyway, well, I would like to address real quick. I'm happy to see so many people in the crowd here. I really appreciate anybody showing up, because it's very hard for me personally because of the time of the meeting. And I was just wondering if I could get a show of hands quick. What would be the idea, would anyone be opposed, or rather in favor of changing the meeting time to maybe 5 or 6 o'clock so more people could attend? Anybody?
3.
That's a few. I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
But just so you know, they all showed up at 3 o'clock, and then they attended the meeting at 4 o'clock today.
Do you want me to ask them who had to take off work for that?
You don't have to ask them anything. I'm just making my point as well.
Yeah, but yeah, it's moot. What was the other thing? The flock cameras? I also will always advocate for changing the meeting time. That should be done. I don't see why it's not. I don't see why it's not discussed. I don't see why there's not a survey put out. I don't see why there's nothing done about it, ever. I just continue to be ignored, which I do somewhat understand. I am kind of, I feel aggressive. I don't feel aggressive, but whatever. I guess that's it for me today. I don't really have anything. Rick, enjoy your heat.
Hey, Brett.
Yeah.
You were put on a committee. You were given some votes to get your input.
Yes.
You have a voice.
I know.
So if you want to change it, propose the ordinance at the meeting. You have the power.
I intend to, but guess what? Why did they cancel our meeting last month,
You bark
Rick?
about it, dude. It turns into white noise.
Why did they cancel our meeting last month, Rick? Why did they cancel our meeting last month?
There was nothing on the agenda.
Rick?
That's just part of the process.
Well, tell me how the process
So I'm just
is.
saying is that at the end of the day, you're given an opportunity to be put on a committee, which is fantastic. I cast that vote to help you get on a committee.
And I appreciate it.
So you know what? Use it. Introduce the ordinance, make it vote. And if it's
Gladly.
voted
I
down,
certainly
then
will. I absolutely will. Not a problem.
You know, that's it.
Not a problem, Rick. Not a problem. I was going to. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That's not how that committee works.
And that's exactly what I knew she was going to say. So that's why I didn't.
I'm telling you, it's not how it works.
I know, but I'm going to bring it
aware
up.
of that.
I will bring it up.
I made you
constantly.
aware of that
Constantly.
when you applied for the position. That
I will
they
bring it
put
up
at the top of the city council. You
constantly.
can. But
Constantly.
perhaps if you presented a better selling point in a more respectful, with some data of people who would like to see the meetings change
Not a
rather than
problem.
one person
Not a problem. I'll
showing
get a
up.
petition started for you.
You can start a petition,
All right, time's
and
up.
that would bring it to the council.
Once again,
You
the
could
First
also
Amendment
pass
is
it
not
along
required
to
by the
that
First Amendment, but
group.
whatever. Thank you very much. I appreciate
sign
it.
it
Sir, I'd like to
after.
sign your petition on that flock thing, please. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? This better be about Leeds days.
Barry
It's Leeds
Bolke.
Day, Friday night, everybody I expect to see in a parade out there.
Right.
Barry Bolke, President of Leeds Community Club, 3256 Viking Drive. I'm not your neighbor anymore, Bob. I'm here because as far as I've asked everybody in the Leeds Community Club, I can't recall anyone that's come before the city council to say thank you. We always have kind of taken it for granted that we propose, hey, we're going to shut down some streets in Leeds. We're going to do all this events in Leeds. And we just always assume you guys are going to sign off on it. So as an active member of my community, someone who tries to organize events and bring us all together, I just wanted to say thank you for once. I also want to give a shout out to Angel Wallace with the Parks Department. She has been nothing but helpful for us in getting things going. And as the mayor said, I invite everybody to come out to the Leeds Days as always. It's a great opportunity to be a community. And I really hope, and I say this every time, every interview that I do on TV, to everyone I talk to, I hope the other communities start doing this too. It's kind of a weird thing to see only, like, I know Morningside does their stuff, but not to see community events like what we're doing. And I know that's kind of a humble brag, but I'm gonna take it. I just wanna see more communities do this because it would be great to see neighborhoods come together like we do.
Right.
So
I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate it.
You know, Barry, Leeds has always been such a heartwarming part of Sioux City. When you drive in the neighborhoods, when you drive on the streets, I grew up in Sioux City. Many of my friends, when I went to North High School in the 70s, grew up in Leeds, and it's always been a great community. I will tell you, though, last week I was at lunch with a buddy of mine at the North End Zone, and a couple of people that live in the Leeds area came up and asked if we, and I mentioned this last Monday, if we would take a look at maybe some of the litter and the garbage in the Leeds area. They didn't have any particular areas, but if you have any that you want to maybe give us some insight, please share those with Mike, because Mike was going to follow up for me.
Okay, yeah, no, because, yeah, as a community club, we actually meet once a month. And for some reason, they think we're part of the city when we're just a volunteer group that's trying to do events. But if we hear anything, yeah, we can definitely
Let us
do
know,
that.
please.
When does parade start?
The parade starts at 6:30, so we're shutting down the street at 6.
The mayor and I had a little trouble with that
Well,
last
I'm not
year.
sure because I have a granddaughter that has a play that night, but I'm supposed to drive Uncle Bill in the
Yes,
parade
you're
for you,
supposed to
so
drive
I'll
Uncle
have to work that out. Okay.
But, yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you, because sometimes it gets forgotten.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This is just an invitation for all of you, and I'll give you that to Rick. I want to see you, Rick, at the neighborhood network meetings.
My name is Melvin Carter.
I ain't here today on Dinosaur Park. I'm here with a new idea. An idea to clean the city up, the community, you know, get some kind of little organization going so we can make the city a beautiful place. Pick up the garbage and stuff like that.
I
you know.
agree.
You know,
I
that
agree.
is
And by
just-
the way, the wood chips are be there next week.
Thank you.
Fill in the holes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Travis Van Vossen. I work at the warming shelter. I've been employed at the warming shelter a little under 3 years. I've been around the warming shelter since before it was even called and had a name. I've been there since they let us be at the soup kitchen when it was cold in little rooms. I've been around since they had the old school. I mean, I've been around for a long time. So over the last, I'd say, few years since Shayla has came on board with our tiering system, everything has completely changed in our system, from more residents getting clean and sober and staying clean and sober, to them getting jobs, saving money. Their self-esteem is up, and that's all because of our staff that we have at the warming shelter. Bertrand, I know you mentioned about the overnight from the 9, whatever. Bobby, raise your hand. This is Bobby Newman, Newland. He works with our overnight staff. He can tell you himself those allegations are false. You're one person was crazy that you could come up here and spill that to everybody.
There's more than one.
I just want to give my 3 minutes in, just absolutely, but you're one person that you talk to.
More than one.
What I would like to say that over these last 3 years, we've had so many great accomplishments through our shelter. Very little ones, but very great ones. All I ask is that maybe you or the rest of our council come down. Like, our open house was great today. I was so hoping that you guys would show up just to see what we do. Meet some of our residents, because I promise those allegations are nothing but false allegations. Come see what we do. And we may not do big things all the time, but these little lights that we get to see when people get out of here and get their life straight, like I did. I got over 7 years clean because of the warming shelter. They gave me a little bit of courtesy, a little bit of hope, a little bit of respect. You know, and that's all I needed. I made many mistakes over my life, but the warming shelter has always been there for me when I needed somewhere to sleep. I needed to take a shower. Man, I remember many nights that I was starving at that place, and they've never told me no. They have never told me no, and we've never told anybody no during the wintertime, because that's what we're here for. I just want you guys to come to our shelter, see what we're about before you make judgments.
We're going to take about 4 more, and then we're going to be done here.
Hi, my name is Michael Mosier, and I work at the warming shelter. I've been there 3.5 years, and I am blessed to be able to use my struggles every day to help somebody else. I've walked in their shoes. I know how they feel. I see the look in their eyes, and I know what that feels like. I get to help people overcome their barriers as the resource and advocacy liaison, and I am proud to be a part of the warming shelter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Newland Smith. This is my first time being up here. A little nervous. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the warming shelter. I ended up in the warming shelter myself 3.5 years ago, trying to get sober and everything. They've done nothing but support me. I can honestly say everything that I've gained today, I had absolutely nothing. It's from the shelter. They've guided me. Shayla personally has helped me through many situations. She's helped many people through many situations. I think that the shelter is being managed very well. I think that what we do is major, and I think without the shelter, the community would be in hurts. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Mr. Bertrand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank everybody for their professional and the courtesy. That was nice. It was a good community discussion. It was, and it was very respectful. And if anybody should have been worked up, you guys probably could get worked up, and you didn't, and I appreciate that. So again, I just want to say it's a good dialogue that we're having. This is what's important, and I appreciated the conversation. But on a positive note, Iowa versus Vanderbilt, that's a biggie. Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you're excited about that. We said go out and do it. I mean, this is part of the walking around money that we got criticized about for putting out there. We went out and got a game that's going to be huge for the community. I think it's the first of many of nice things to come when it comes to the entertainment zones. So again, good job to the guys down at Tyson and everything getting that done. Other than that, I'm excited for all of the parks and stuff. It seems like Matt's got that going on. They got the edgers working. The parks look good. The community's looking good. And, let's have a good week.
Great. Just a couple of things. Mike, I had mentioned to you before we started, I've received a couple of calls regarding the graffiti artist. Obviously, Nicole, we understand where the litigation ended, but there remain some concerns in the community. I know you've had some dialogue with him, so if you just continue to manage that with Mr. Bradshaw, I'd appreciate it. I think that would, I think the citizens would appreciate that. A couple of other things related to both the warming shelter and to Joe's point, the 37 other social service agencies that are in our vicinity and elsewhere in the community. I did send an email to Mike and to the mayor for public dialogue purposes. We can't communicate amongst the 5 of us by email, but I can communicate to one other council member. So the mayor was on the string, Marty Doherty, Renee, Jill, Amy, and the mayor, Mike, and I think we need to have a much more open dialogue, not just as it relates to the warming shelter. And Joe, this relates to the conversations that you and I have had for the last week, as well as that I've had with Shayla. We need to identify a global solution to the issues that we're dealing with in our community. So I want you to know that the council is very open. We're very receptive to the dialogue. And Mike, I hope that we'll be able to have some dialogue very shortly with regard to the email that I sent you last week and as well as the mayor. A couple of other things. I would like to see the council broaden the scope of the contract with Steve Watson and Teton Ridge regarding the Walgreens site and what I'm describing as the entertainment district. I continue to get significant support in the community. I know the council has shown some reluctance to broaden the scope of what Steve is reviewing and the diligence that he's engaging in, but I think the time is now. Rick pointed to the opportunity that we have with the Iowa game in November with Vanderbilt and the entertainment district, the entertainment opportunities, the quality of life features and functions that we can have that I think are initiated by the Walgreens site need to have the dialogue now, so I would like to continue that and broaden the scope of Steve's contract. I've had a number of reach outs regarding the assessor's office. I know that we as a conference board member participate in Tyler in his activities, but in particular with regard to the Board of Review. So I'd like to maybe find some time the next day or two to visit with you, Mike, about some of the information that I'm getting regarding that. And that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Rayford.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I just want to thank each and every one of you that have come out tonight. The engagement is what it's about, and you have a voice, and making sure that your voice is heard is always important. So thank you for that. I did have some notes that I just want, over the week I heard from many constituents over the past several days, and some support the comments that were made last week, and many do not, obviously. But regardless of where people stand on homelessness, poverty, or the warming shelter, I believe we have a responsibility to discuss these issues in a way that recognizes the humanity of every person involved. And we can have difficult conversations, obviously, disagree strongly, and still treat one another with dignity and respect. And so we just want to make sure that we heard that. Just along with what everybody says, obviously homelessness is a big issue. Mike and myself, we met today with the Center of Siouxland, and you talked about that global reach. I think there's some opportunity to really connect some pieces there, and I'd like to see, how we can some of those gaps and fill those gaps with that. And so we'll do that. There was a lot of energy going on this weekend downtown. I'd love to see that type of energy. And I know that I was, really vocal about the weeds, but I'm glad that they got cleaned up. So I do think Downtown Partners is doing a great job and what we're doing for our community. So that's it.
Shaner.
I echo what my partners up here say about the homelessness. We need to come together. We need to bring the public together. We need to bring the shelter together. We need to bring PD together and find solutions with the private sector as well. I've worn many hats that I've had experience with homelessness in Sioux City. As a Plymouth County resident, passing through the city on my way to Dakota Dunes to work. Then I moved into Sioux City, and I started a restaurant on Historic 4th. I had dealings with homeless people at that time who were disruptive to business, and sometimes they weren't. I fed them, I let them come to my patio. Sometimes they were disruptive inside, and I'd have to call PD because they wouldn't leave or they were causing problems. So I understand the perspective from a business owner. I understand from a private person who lives in Sioux City, who walks around, who has to do with events downtown. Also, I joined Downtown Partners in 2016, so as a longtime board member there, I understand their challenges in their interaction, in their offering of solutions for the entire problem. But what I would like to see us do is to really everybody come together, which we feel like we're doing, but we're really not. Every year we have the same meeting, and a couple of years ago, we said, we're not going to keep having this meeting and not get the results that we want. But we are continuing that. So I would like to see us, the donors, the businesses, the corporate donors, the people who bring the muffins. My restaurant used to drop off boxes and cases of snacks, to help out. The granola bars, all that. That's great, but what is it doing? My heart tells me that we have to understand that, Joe, and you have to think about this and be open to the concept. This is no longer a warming shelter as it was intended to be. I think we can all agree with that. It was intended to be open for a few months, the cold months out of the year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. Is that why it was started? So people weren't freezing on the street. And I don't know what that number was back then, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. But I do feel like you guys doing everything that you're trying to offer there and do, and I've been in there, I've toured it, I've seen it, I've donated money through my charity. I think you've outgrown this site. And we say, oh, it needs to stay here because of services. No, it doesn't. We have to open up our mind and say, is there a better location that is not in this densely populated area? And if there is a location that can be decided together, and I'm not saying it has to happen, but maybe there's a better location that has more space, and then the services have a space that they can come out on site and see the people who are actually there. We're not saying that we're going to take it 10 miles out of town and nobody can get to the support services that they need. Absolutely not. But I think we need to keep an open mind that perhaps you guys are outgrowing your site and everything that you want to do there. You've got a little postage stamp there. And you know that I was on the committee and we talked about relocation at that time and it really never went anywhere. So I just would like everyone to keep that in mind. I'm not saying that, oh my God, get rid of them, not at all. But I'm saying when we try to have dialect like this, I think sometimes it puts us on an uneasy defensive that, oh my God, Julie's trying to talk to us and she's trying to remove us. No, that's not it. Keep an open mind that maybe there is a better location. Maybe we can assist with a better location that would suit everyone, the small businesses, the large businesses. It would make your donors happy. It would make your clients happy. It would have space for your support services to come on site and actually see people there. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but let's keep an open mind that maybe something like that can happen. And that's where I'm at. I support the shelter, but I also support consideration of perhaps there's a better location for it. And I'm willing to sit down and discuss it. I look all the time when I drive through the city. oh, here's a vacant place, oh, maybe an opportunity. But when we have heated discussions and we all get defensive, then it shuts down our mind and our ears. So.
This is council time. She gets to state her opinion. We listen to the group.
I will answer that. I will answer that. As I stated, corporate donors, private donors, I said the city. Yes, I did. I can say the city. The city already supports it through our neighbor services program, through our police department, through our fire department. We already do support it.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Bernstein?
Aye.
Bertrand? Aye. Rayford?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
That's